Okay, gentlemen, overtime situation.
Here at the
We will
start
play
of the
up to one
overtime.
10-second period or 10-minute period.
That would be a quick game. Whoever gets the first
That would have been
completion.
fine. One of the silliest football games I've seen in a long time. And so the Steeler run fits late in that, they were looking at each other like,
Dude.
is that your gap? I don't know. I mean, as the play is going on, a guy's like pointing at a safety like, you're supposed to be over there.
Yeah, Tomlin's got other words. They've had a historically good offense the last 3 years or so for that team. And defensively, not so hot.
No, not so much.
Not so hot.
I don't know if anything the Bears do is sustainable, but that was
throwing one pass
over 5 yards,
receiving. I should say, getting one catch for 9 yards for Bears receivers yesterday. If that's not sustainable, Dan Bernstein, I don't know who is or what is. This Mitchell Trubisky talk needs to get out of here.
Could you imagine what they would look like? Imagine they would look like with a guy who could throw the ball.
What? Mike Glennon and his professional, acute nature of running the quarterback position? You crazy? What? Yeah, you idiot, Goff and Mitchell Trubisky. Ha! We'll throw the ball 12 times to running backs, 2 times to tight ends, and once to a receiver. This will win in the NFL. Yes. Give me more of it. Give me a national. I thought they'd go 1-3. 0-4, worst case, 1-3, best case. It looks like they're going 1-3, best case scenario. So, hey, and I know the people are going to be, they should be 2-1 if Deontay Thompson or Jordan Howard with his broken shoulder doesn't drop that ball. They'd be 2-1, Goff. And I'd still
Josh Bellamy can make a play.
Yeah, that's Josh Bellamy, right. And I'd still think Mike Glennon is trash.
Our producers are Nick Shepkowski.
Can I tell you, for Clete Blakeman and the replay officials in New York, this is a huge call. This is unbelievable.
Al Riveron's been involved with this game all through halftime and the second half.
After review of the play, the ruling on the field is that the runner did step out of bounds at the 37-yard line. 9:07 on the game clock. 9:07.
You know what? So how did he word that? Did he say the ruling on the field was that he stepped out? But then did he ever say the replay? Did he ever say the replay confirmed it?
I don't know.
Yes, my name is Beat Clakeman. I do not have any information for you. I am out of here.
He looks good, though.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the explanation of what happened was I read it, and then I read it again, and I'm like, you don't know the rules.
Not at all.
You kind of don't know the rules.
Had Dingy Trent in there, and it was, that whole thing. That whole thing just made me very sad about football.
Although, here's the thing.
What?
Here's the thing.
Dan?
As much as any sentient person understood that yesterday was not about football, it was a hell of a day of football.
Yeah, no, there's some good games.
There's some for the first time that week. There was stuff. There was all kinds of stuff.
Even last night's Raiders ass kicking, there was some great plays in that game. Where I'm like, all right, look at Washington acting up out here. So it was a good day.
Yeah, with everything else going on, there's no way any intelligent person could concentrate on football.
No.
Understanding that history was being made. By the way, this tweet just now from Dale Earnhardt Jr., or at least it was this morning. I'm just seeing it. Did you see this?
About the JFK quote?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, Dale's always been cool.
This is
he's been anti-lame.
Yeah, he actually has.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has always been seems a decent dude.
JFK on the right to peaceful protest for all Americans. See, it's really not that hard.
It really isn't.
Our audio overlord is Chris Tannehill.
Jake Elliott para ganar el partido, le mete el pie. Distancia, dirección. ¡Sí, señor! ¡Sí, señor! ¡Sí, señor! ¡Sí, señor!
Quit yelling.
¡Sí, señor! Jake Elliott de 61 y los Eagles ganan el juego. ¡Oh, qué patada! Jake Elliott de 61 y los Eagles con la victoria. Increíble pero cierto. Jake Elliott para el Carne de Filadelfia por una pulgadita la colocó para ganar el juego.
Bienvenidos,
That's awesome.
Gabagool.
That's awesome.
Sí, señor.
61.
Yes.
61.
Yeah, 61-yard field goal game winner.
That is sweet.
I forget my man's name, but
Jake Elliott?
No, not Jake. No. The Spanish broadcaster.
I think I'm lying. Let's just move forward.
No. Tell me his name.
Is it Jose Jimenez?
It's Ricky Ricardo.
Is it really? Okay.
Are you serious? Because I don't want to laugh. Is it?
You can laugh. It's his name.
Oh, shout out to Richard Ricardo. Shout out
Ricardo.
Yeah, Ricardo.
Outstanding.
Oh,
Did you
Lord.
see the reaction of Jake? Did you see Jake Elliott's parents?
No.
There's phone video of his parents
crazy?
in the stands, and if you've ever been a sports parent, you can only imagine.
I haven't been.
You can only imagine. They're at an NFL game, and their kid is kicking it from 61 yards.
Poor
and like
game.
it reminded me of Allie Raceman's parents when they showed her during the floor exercise at the Olympics, and they just look like they're being tortured the entire time until it's over. But the reaction after was just phenomenal.
It's awesome.
All right, what say you? Quick break, and then we'll grab a couple phone calls ahead of Zach.
Yeah, we got Zach at 2 o'clock. Your phone calls at 312-644-6767. Dan Pompey, Rich Campbell. It is a Bears Monday and a lot of other things going on in the world of football. You're listening to the Bernstein and Goff Show on 670 The Score.
Now for my favorite part of the show. What's that say? Talk to the audience. Oh, God, this is always dead.
Can we get to line 7 first?
Yeah, sure. It's completely your call if you would like to do that.
let's
Buddy in Peoria is on the score. Hey, Buddy.
Hey, how you doing?
What up, buddy?
Not much. How's it going, man?
Good, man.
Hey, I just like to, I would like to say that I just feel that, the athletes have every right to protest. My thing is that they should be during the anthem. I don't think that's quite the correct platform. I mean, the anthem means so much to so many.
That's the
families.
point. That's exactly the point, is to cause that kind of discomfort.
Buddy, what about those liberties and freedoms that are professed within that anthem and what the flag stands for? When should those be, enacted upon people of color? At all times? Some of the time? Never? When is that?
I believe at all times.
Okay,
but,
so if at all times, if you agree agree with it, then you are, I guess, kneeling with those players as well.
I will kneel with them at all times except for during the anthem.
But so for those 90 seconds,
here's
those 90 seconds, their voice doesn't matter to you.
No, but
it is.
But here's my thing. But by kneeling for those 90 seconds, you're saying that you're kind of infringing upon of the 90 seconds that the veterans have.
What does it have to do with veterans?
The national anthem?
Yes.
Has everything to do with from the late when in the 1800s and Fort McHenry was under siege by the British. Piles of Americans were laying on top of each other, laying on top of other dead brothers. Whatever,
buddy,
holding that flag up,
buddy.
What does that have to do with current veterans,
buddy? Let me ask you: do you know when the NFL started?
It has everything to do because as a veteran, we try to uphold those standards that have been fought and died for.
Okay, but you fight to defend what is written in the Constitution.
Right, you fought to defend. You fought to defend freedom.
Yeah,
and now these players are exercising this peaceful freedom.
And what I'm saying is that 90 seconds means a lot. And that is how we uphold.
No, it's not. No. Singing is not how we uphold anything. We uphold by our actions.
Showing respect for 90 seconds.
That may be how you do it. That doesn't mean it's how everyone must do it.
Buddy.
Veterans doing.
You know what? Have you seen the hashtag Veterans for Kaepernick?
Yes.
You have? I'm not sure you have.
Hold on, Dan. So
no, I have. I doesn't mean I agree with it,
buddy. So see, it's an agreement thing. This is the problem that I have, buddy. If I'm telling you that this has nothing to do with you, why are you making it about you?
Because when athletes who all Americans are watching on Sunday are kneeling during the anthem, whatever they think they're kneeling for.
Oh
no! I think they know. Buddy, they've articulated They've articulated. It's not a matter of what they think they're kneeling for. Do you know what they're kneeling for?
Yes.
What?
Social injustice, racial injustice.
What kind?
Police brutality.
Okay. This is buddy.
Exactly.
First of all, buddy, thank you for your service. But Do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think that Rosa Parks was boycotting the public transportation system in the South, or she was boycotting because of the conditions that African Americans were under in the South?
The latter.
Okay.
Well, then I think you might be close to getting it.
So, buddy, you understand without me being nasty.
I absolutely 100% understand.
So if you understand,
good. Thank you for the call. I'm glad you understand.
Yeah.
Then that's a positive.
It is.
Ken and Algonquin, you're on the score.
Yeah. Hey guys.
What up?
I'm trying to understand the issue better. And if Kaepernick is protesting, I haven't seen any stats, or maybe he has posted stats to support his protest, but I haven't been aware of them. And maybe that's the problem.
Which stats do you need?
Well, whatever he's protesting against. If it's black brutality, if it's police brutality.
You haven't seen the number of unarmed black people that have been shot by police?
Well, African American men.
I've heard from both sides, right?
Uh-oh.
No, I'm just asking if you've seen the video.
I haven't seen the video. No.
In any one of these cases, you haven't seen the video. Not in a single one.
Listen, my brother-in-law's a cop.
No. I didn't ask that. I'm just saying you're asking for stats. All you need to do is watch video. It's okay, right there. Just a couple keystrokes.
But why not put his points out there, right? So that everybody...
He has at length.
While he was a member of the 49ers...
A year ago.
He talked about it with anybody who wanted to talk to him about it, including his teammates. And he also put his money where his mouth is every Tuesday going out with the Know Your Rights campaign on the West Coast. And he was actually doing this before he started kneeling. So
we're not going to do Google's work here for you, Ken. Yeah. If you are telling the truth in the saying you want to understand this better... You can that information is widely available and in depth.
I don't need to know stats about disease to know that disease is bad. I don't need to know how many people died from cancer last year to know that I should raise awareness and help fight for people and with people that have cancer. I don't need stats and to go on any kind of walks or hang out with people who are suffering from things. I don't need those stats. All I need is humanity. And to look my fellow man in the eye and say, hey, I got you when you're down. And that's not what's happening for people who look like me. And that's the feeling right now.
Better believe it. Zach Zaidman on the Grossinger Auto Group hotline. Find over 5,000 vehicles every day at Grossinger.com. An improbable win on a very strange but memorable NFL Sunday. And Zach Zaidman has the aftermath. Hello, Zach.
It's time to play Crisis or Carnival, featuring the head coach of the Bears, John Fox.
Well, I think, again, I don't believe in ugly wins. I just... whatever it takes to win. They can't take them from you, so it's, I think there's a lot to be learned. There's a how to win, and, I thought our guys did the things necessary to get us the win.
Yeah, see, you learn a lot about football and the highs and lows. Yeah, exactly.
This is my win. They can't take it from me. Zach, I got to keep it forever.
How do you guys do it every day, man?
Oh, come on.
How do you not laugh at his face?
Yes.
I think there is a lot of laughter that takes place.
In his face?
But actually pointing at him and laughing out loud at him.
No, you don't do that.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tough run for this regime. I mean, let's face it.
Because they're not good.
They're 10-25. You would have figured that this being the third year that there'd be a little bit of a core of players that you could kind of build around, and that hasn't materialized because of either injury, poor free agency signings, some poor draft picks, but they're trying to work their way out of it, and it goes back to something that we talked about last week. This is the blueprint for the Bears to be competitive. I've been reading a lot of stuff that, they're a quarterback away. They're not a quarterback away unless that quarterback is the greatest quarterback that has ever suited up in the history of the National Football League, and you give him some receivers that can catch the ball. But what they are is a team that they're coached well, and when they're able to consistently run the ball effectively, they can be in games, and then they need somebody to make a play, because it's a flawed team in a variety of different areas. But their defense clearly is better than it's been over the first 2 years of this regime. I think that they're now capable, and I talked about this last week, guys, they're capable now of making a big play on special teams, which really hasn't been the case since the Bears fired Lovie
yes, they
Smith.
can make a big play on special teams, indeed.
Both ways. I mean, because before we get to Marcus Cooper Sr., last week there was the Tariq Cohen mistake on special teams. It cost them big time. At least this time they were able to put themselves in a position to score because of their special teams. I think their punting game was important. I was talking to one of the coaches yesterday before the game. They have to play small ball. That's what worked against the Atlanta Falcons. And by small ball, from a football sense, what that means is punishing the other team with the run and being able to run the ball nearly 40 times a game. Yesterday, I think they had 38 rushes, 3 by the quarterback, so 35 rushes by running backs. And they were able to gain 220 yards on the ground. They had 2 touchdowns. Jordan Howard had 138 of them and played a big part. That gives them an opportunity to perhaps win. It's not going to guarantee victory, but it'll keep them in games, and that's the only chance they have of putting together the kind of performance you saw yesterday, you saw against Atlanta. Unfortunately, if they turn the ball over, they have no chance, and that's what you saw against Tampa in week 2.
Well, once again, as they did after the first week, the Packers know this is coming now, right? So
Yes.
the question is, does Dowell Loggins decide, okay, now we got him suckered in, and we're going to turn Mike Glennon loose?
No. I think again, there's nothing wrong with the way the Bears are built right now, with some of the limitations that they have. They're not limited on their offensive line. And we've seen this now 2 years running where they've suffered some significant injuries on the offensive line, and they've been able to overcome them and still rush the ball effectively. Now, last year they had 2 really good backup guards in Eric Kush and Ted Larson, who contributed heavily, and they were able to run the ball effectively. The problem that they had last year, they kept having to go to different quarterbacks. Guys were coming in and out, and their defense wasn't as good as it is, at least in the early portion of this season. So I think yesterday, everyone knew the Bears were going to run the ball. Game 1 against Atlanta, the Falcons knew the Bears were going to attempt to run the ball, and you're just going to have to do it. In listening to Kyle Long today, he was talking about Jordan Howard being able to play through the shoulder injury and do the kinds of things that you saw yesterday. Listen to this.
Yeah, it's they call it juice. It's juice. When a guy like that walks in the huddle, you got some juice. And you look across from the huddle, and he's nodding at you, and he's looking at you, and we're all vibing off one another. That's when you know things are going to happen.
Mike Glennon?
It's a good feeling.
No, Jordan Howard.
I've been part of offenses here before that have been like that.
Sorry.
But it's never been like you know what we're going to do, and this is what we're doing. Stop it.
If someone ever talks about Mike Glennon like
I'm
that,
sorry. You have to yell at me mid-cut.
I mean, how could you even possibly confuse?
I was hoping that Kyle wasn't on any kind of substance with talking about Mike Glennon.
Sip the juice. I got enough to go around.
Yes.
Maybe Glennon,
quoting rap lyrics.
Maybe
again.
just different with Glennon in the huddle.
It's not.
As opposed to outside.
It's about Jordan
the huddle.
Howard and his ouchie shoulder.
Speaking of the quarterback, so John Fox today was asked directly if Mike Glennon is the starter Thursday at Lambeau Field.
I think, we're not going to announce our starting lineup, probably till pretty close to game time, but I think that would probably be a fairly proper assessment.
Very eloquent.
Words. Sure.
I think the reason he said that, don't go crazy now, the Trubisky people, here's why. I think that there's a short week to prepare. I'm sure he's trying to get Green Bay to spend extra time on Trubisky. Because they feel that it gives them an advantage during the week. If he really felt like that, that's something he would have said last week. He didn't say it because he knew that it would lead to even more crisis if following that performance against Tampa Bay, he had made a comment like that. But expect Mike Glennon to start. And again, the blueprint is the same. And it's not just continuing to run. It's not considering a punt a bad thing, and they need – this is just to be competitive and to give themselves a chance, not to guarantee victory, but to put themselves in a position to possibly win. They need a big play defensively every single game, meaning you take the ball away, and they need a big special teams play every single game. And I think that is hard to sustain over the course of 16 games, but that's the predicament that they're in.
All right, let's do nuggets and tidbits if you got them.
Oh, man. So yesterday, the idea to go about doing what the Bears did during the national anthem was it came about after a meeting at the team hotel the night before with George McCaskey and John Fox, essentially telling them how they felt, but also telling them that they would support them no matter what they eventually decided to do, but they wanted to see some unity. And they talked about it. They didn't quite know exactly what they were going to do because after that meeting, players broke up and had different meetings among themselves. And I think sometimes we forget that when you say players, you got to remember they're no different than us. And you have the whole spectrum of different views inside that locker room is no different than the real world.
Which is why the idea of unity is a canard. Have everybody express, pick a side, kneel or don't kneel. This idea of trying to create some middle ground of we're going to show some milquetoast unity. I don't care how unified they are. I want to know who's with Kaepernick and who's not.
And I thought in the Steelers situation, just imagine
cop out
with Ali Villanueva, how difficult that must have been for him. Because, here is a guy who has fought in wars. And, so he didn't stay in the locker room. He tried to make the best of that situation. I thought what the Bears did.
From the reports, though, it sounded as if he agreed to and then went out and did that.
He went back on what he told his teammates he was going to do because he wanted to be out there.
Yeah, and I'm not close to the Pittsburgh situation, but in covering the Bears, what I learned is, and I was talking to one player yesterday before they had decided exactly what they were going to do, and it was a last-minute thing, and there was a lot of thought put into it. There was a player that said, you have to remember that the flag means something different to each individual. It's a personal decision. And I thought the way they handled that was, if you notice, there were certain players that everyone locked arms, but there were certain players who decided to put their right hand over their heart, and then they took their other hand and put it over the shoulder.
But again, it's not about the flag. It's not about the meaning of the flag, and we keep going down in these directions that take us away from what's really happening.
Agreed, but as you know, Dan, part of the problem and why this has escalated to the point that it has is because there are certain people who interpret it as being about the flag.
But that's willful ignorance then.
Right.
Like, we don't allow for willful ignorance to be the cop-out excuse for anybody, especially in the NFL.
Yeah. The thing
because when everybody knows and today Donald Trump's spokeswoman said it's not about race. Yes, it is. It clearly is because that's what the protest is about.
He brought up NASCAR right afterwards too in his Twitter. It's just whatever. When is Eddie Goldman going to make a play?
I think the fact that Eddie Goldman's out there and you're not seeing teams just gash the Bears with the run, that's what he's supposed to do, right? I mean, that's his role.
Hold the nose, take up 2 blockers. Is that enough?
And he's been on skates last couple games.
I think that's what I think Eddie Goldman has to do. You would like to see more pressure attacking the quarterback, but these are really good offenses that they're facing, and twice over the last 3 weeks they've been in a position to win games. So from that, and the roster that the Bears have. So from that standpoint,
I just asked when Eddie Goldman was going to make a play.
But Dan just told you what his role, his responsibility is.
You're the one that's talking.
He's supposed to get the double team, and then everyone else around him is supposed to take advantage of that and get to the QB, right?
I love you so much.
But I do want to hit on something that, because you often hear this, and I know you guys have heard this a lot. Isn't there another way other than taking a knee or doing something else during the anthem? But
that's not what the protest is.
But this is what a protest is all about.
Correct.
It's to get people talking, to make you think about what they want you to think about. So it's working.
Yes.
And I think that's lost in all of this. They have a certain platform. This is a tremendous opportunity for players who want to use that platform to get you thinking about what they want.
Yes, if people want to pay attention to racial injustice and endemic discrimination in police work and police policy, absolutely. There are places you can find out about how for-profit prisons have affected some of what happens in this country and how the law is not necessarily equally applied to people of color. And how for the overwhelming number of good cops, there are some who are not so good, and it makes for
we only
some
have
people
to
be
say that, though,
more endangered than others.
Like if we see a surgery gone wrong, and then all of a sudden, like when Michael Jackson dies or when Kanye West's mother dies, we never have to say, you know what? There's a lot of good doctors, though. You notice that? Like, that's not wild to anybody else.
All right, Zach, we're gonna allow you a reprieve and say gogoodbye.
No, damn it, I was talking to Zach about Eddie Goldman, too. No, I'm messing with you. Good.
He's supposed to get a double team. Take those two guys up and then have the guys at the defensive end positions
skates.
and the outside linebackers.
He's been on skates.
Listen,
even without a double team, he's been on skates.
There are a lot of issues with the Bears. Eddie Goldman is not one of them.
I know, brother. Talk to you tomorrow.
See ya.
Thanks, Zach. That is Zach Zabin, brought to you by the private bank, now CIBC. The private bank is now CIBC. Their name may have changed, but their commitment to your business is now stronger than ever. Visit CIBC.com/US, member FDIC. Yeah, it is true that when you start to say, maybe there are some reasonable issues here that just need to be examined, and Zach's right. It has worked, and when the president wants to inject himself into something and then not realize
didn't even have to.
what the clapback is going to be. The other issue, too, and
you don't even, you know how far away you could stay away from all of this if you're President Trump? You don't have to say anything about this.
No, you might even actually try to help some people in Puerto Rico who are without electricity and food and water.
But you're in Alabama. The first thing you think, football. All right.
Roll down Tide.
Right, exactly. You think a lot of the young ruffians that they've watched, on is it Kenny Stadium, I believe? What was it?
Yeah, and how about the use of those Stadium? People? And
the racial demagoguery that went on.
Boy.
It was amazing to me. But, there are a lot of people who are stuck in the sand. Shout out to the people on the text who are probably hitting us with the what about black on black crime.
I'm
saying shout out to those people who are probably doing that. The number is 312-644-6767. We could talk to you about the Steelers and Bears. We could talk to you about all the foolishness that happened this weekend. And I have a new place that I want to go, whether it be by Upside.com or Mitch Rosen.
Is it out of this country?
No, it's not out of this country. No. I have a new place that I want to go to watch a football game because I watched it on Saturday and I was like, this is where we have to go as a team. So we'll do a lot of that before we're out of here.
6-yard try. This Boswell in the playoffs is 15 for 15. Clutch kicker from the right hash, angled up. High snap pulled down. It's blocked by the Bears into the hands of DeAndre Houston. Who is that now? Can't catch it. It's Cooper. Cooper is into the end zone, and he's hit from behind as he crossed the plane, and it's tapped out of bounds by the Steelers, a penalty marker. He got a little cute at the end, Marcus Cooper, running with the blocked field goal by the Bears, and he was just waltzing into the end zone, but there were Steelers coming from behind.
No, he stopped. he stopped.
Can I run down the chain of events in the Goff household on that play? Dan Bernstein, Jason Goff, Bernstein and Goff show right here on 670 The Score, 670thescore.com. Hey, how you doing? Facebook Live is popping off as well. We will definitely get some social media all-stars from that joint before we're out of here today.
Oh, yeah.
Dan, so the game's happening. Nicole's watching it, kind of. The baby's asleep next to me in the little bouncy thing, whatever. And she goes, hey, meet you at halftime. I'm like, cool. Yes. I'm like, let's go.
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, getting my numbers up around here. So
stat day.
Yeah, so Marcus Cooper does that.
He ruined your afternoon?
She's gone. He does that. I'm like, I can't leave the game. This guy's being a buffoon. Hey, Lemonhead, this guy's being a buffoon out here. You got Gumbel going hard. Like Greg Gumbel was like, this guy is an idiot. This is atrocious. He should be banned from the he was going crazy. Trent Green is dingy, so he's like, hey,
Nobody
man.
knew the rules.
Nobody. The punter's sprinting so he can knock the ball out of the back of the thing. The referee's like, yeah, there's a down of some sort. The Bears get a holding call or a false
We have
start.
a thing or something.
15 minutes later, I was like, hey, everything cool? She's like, yeah. No,
she's at the mall?
Yeah, but she's like, I'm done. I'm like, damn you, Marcus Cooper. And then, of course, all your favorite sports radio jocks and NFL fans on Twitter, oh, he's got to be benched. He's got to be fired. You got to cut him immediately.
Cut at halftime.
Make him walk home. And I'm like, hey, y'all, he's still got to play a half of football. Like, people are like, why is Jonathan Anderson putting his arm around him? What does he think this is, the anthem? I'm like, no. He's got to play another half of football. That's one of those things, Dan, where It will never happen to that person again, and it won't happen to the Bears again this season. That's one of those things.
Right. Coaches are going to use that video in every sport to talk about respect 90.
That's one of those things, Dan. Yeah. Hey, the only game my father ever came to in my Fleetwood Jourdain Community Center career in Evanston was the game where he walked in, and I'm like, wow, no one's sticking me right now. Why is no one sticking me? I put the ball up, and 2 points go on the score for the other team. My pops saw that, turned around, and walked out. Like, I saw him walk out. Guess what I never did again? Score on my own basket. Because I paid more attention.
You were open, though.
Dude, I'm like, kidding me? I know I'm not on the scouting report, but, like, give a brother some respect out here. But that's never going to happen again. People are calling for him to be cut and benched and all these other things. Like, whatevs, man. All right. That was a funny-ass play.
Bears Daily Update, then an update, and then right to the phone calls.
Time now for the Bears Daily Update. Compete to represent the Bears in the Madden 2018 Chicago Bears Championship. For details, visit easports.com. Hello, I'm Zach Zaidman. Here's the latest from Hallis Hall.
Glennon starting Thursday night?
I think, we're not going to announce our starting lineup, probably till pretty close to game time. But
all right, so I'm being told by people that Marcus Cooper did this last year. It still stands that it won't happen again to him this year. It still stands, even if it happened last year to him.
In Garfield Ridge, this is Rich, and he's on the score. Hi, Rich.
How you doing?
What up, Rich?
Hey, I was telling the other fella that I'm a 68-year-old, 100% disabled Vietnam vet, and I stand behind Kaepernick and the NFL and all major sports for what they did. They did it with more respect than when I came back from Vietnam. They're spitting on the flag, burning the flag, walking on the flag. To take a knee for what they need to do that's respect in my eyes.
And Rich, you fought for those freedoms, near and far.
I fought for those reasons, and I'll be willing to bet that most vets that get on the phone, other than the one I heard just a little while ago, would understand that.
Hey, Rich, let me just see if you agree with this while we've got you on the line here, and I want to read you this. An emailer sent this in. And he said, my brother is a veteran, and he said the following: I'd be far more offended if I fought for a country where they didn't have the freedom to take a knee and protest during the anthem. I served in South Korea, and people just north of the border are put to death for doing something like that.
Correct, and I agree with that 100%.
I appreciate the call, Rich.
That is what we fought for. This black and white crap has got to go. I served with Asians, Spanish, blacks, whites.
Big ones, small ones, tall ones, short ones, stingy ones.
It was a melting pot.
Yes, sir.
We didn't have any kind of race crap.
Well, Rich, not in your platoon. Yeah, exactly. Not next to you, but
I'm worried about my kids and my grandkids because this country's going to hell in a handbag with that knucklehead that's in the White House.
Rich, we got to make sure that the young ones, save us all.
It.
That's all. That's all, man. Yeah. Yeah, I saw a stat.
Cold ones,
yeah,
hot
stop.
ones,
That's why I had to stop.
That's
why I had to stop because I knew you was going to get on it. I saw a stat yesterday, man, that 22 vets a day commit suicide in this country. 22. And this is what we're really worried about. Like all those things that are going on in this country, and people who don't, like people like Rich, don't have a mouthpiece. Nobody speaks for the vets. After you're done with your flyovers and throwing them up on a jumbotron, you forget about them until the next time.
Get your sponsored little tribute moments.
Yeah. The Department of Defense spent $59 million in 2009 because enrollment in the armed services was down. NFL teams weren't out there for the national anthem. So if you're going to be mad at anybody, be mad at these ridiculous owners who are now going to profit off of co-opting struggle.
Irving Park. Jim, you're on WSCR The Score.
Hi, guys. Like you just sort of got into my the main point I wanted to cover, but I did want to let you guys know that online is the video of Tomlin's press conference, and he says that it was not 100%, and that the very next question he decided that it was going to be all or nothing, and the very next question they asked him about Villanueva, and he said, I expected 100%. and that's where he lost me. This is a man who, whatever side of the issue you're on, went to West Point, which is a very hard school to get through, spent 3 tours in Afghanistan, and won the Bronze Star with V for Valor, which means you must have did something that you were close to getting killed. If he wants to go out there and stand and respect in his way the anthem, what has Mike Tomlin done in his life to tell him no?
Well, what bothered me, it's somewhere in between there, Jim. What bothered me initially was that the stated reason that Mike Tomlin gave to the reporter in the tunnel was that he wanted to remove his team from the discomfort of the public spectacle.
Yeah, he didn't want to have some guys kneeling, some guys standing, some guys not, doing anything.
Which is awful. That's a complete cop-out, and it is treating his adults in that locker room like children, like they're not capable of making an adult choice that they think matters.
You want to be mad at anybody? Be mad at the flip-flopping, punk-ass Shady McCoy. That's who you should be mad at. For all the people out there looking for someone to be angry about, because on both sides, Shady McCoy couldn't wait to spew that garbage out of his mouth about Colin Kaepernick and was out there doing calisthenics during the damn anthem. During the anthem, he's out there stretching and doing all his things. So all of a sudden, he got woke. Like Doug Collins. All of a sudden, he found some spirituality. And also, Ray Lewis, you can get your ass out of here, too. There's a lot of people who have co-opted struggle conveniently when they found out, oh, okay, this can give me a little bit, this can give me another angle. This can give me a little bit more shine. No, not now. Not now. You're a man without a home, Shady. This dude, did you see the video of him? Did you see him? Embarrassing.
Stretching.
Embarrassing. Pick a lane, homie. That's all I ask. And at this point, I think the lane has been picked for you.
Burbank and Jeff on the score. What's up, Jeff? Okay, we're going to let Jeff
Jeff's
figure
trying to
out
get that order in.
what's going on there. And it'll be Mike in Munster. Mike, you're on the score.
I was going to start with something different, but Dan, Jason, thanks for, making my point right off the bat. 3 calls ago, you get a veteran who says the anthem is very important to me, and you hammer him. And then someone calls.
I don't think I hammered him. Mike, how did I hammer him? How? How? Let's talk. Mike, let's talk. Mike, let's talk. Mike, let's talk.
That's great.
Well, I told the other veteran, thank you for your service, too, since you want to leave things out. Mike, let's talk.
Mike, let's talk. Let Jason talk.
Let's talk. How did I hammer him, Mike?
Dan hammered him.
How so?
By asking him if it was okay for veterans to not only respect the First Amendment, but didn't they also defend the Constitution of the United States? The only reason you hammered him is because
hammered how?
With your point of view.
Mike, hammered how?
With what I just stated.
Was he belligerent? Like, I'm trying to really get to the point here.
I don't know what you're saying. That I believe that
stupid. When someone calls and agrees with you, you
okay,
just go
Mike,
out of your
Mike,
way.
Mike, hold on a second. We're just talking.
So, Mike, are you hammering us now?
Someone has to try to create at least 1/10 of 1% of equal balance.
Okay, there. Now the buzzwords.
Mike, what's equal? Seriously, Mike, if I sat down with you and I had a beer with you, and I said, Mike and Munster, let's go to your
you
favorite.
You don't have any problem with me, Jason.
I know, that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, dude, I'm telling you, like, I would have a beer with you, and I sit down like, Mike, this is what's really going on. This is how I see things. And if I explain to you how I see things, and you explain to me how you see things, what's wrong with that?
Nothing. But here's my point. I don't disagree with Kaepernick. He made it very clear after the first time he kneeled in his post-game press conference that he respects veterans, and he meant no disrespect to any of them. I don't know why everyone else gets clouded in that issue.
Well, you know
here's
why,
what
Mike.
I think the problem
it's very easy to get
why.
caught up in that. That's to divert from and to veer off from the topic that's the tactic.
The same reason that just minutes ago the White House spokesperson did exactly that, hiding behind the idea of flag and country and nationalism and military when it has nothing to do with that.
Understandable, but the protest was ill-conceived. Because
Why?
the moment he used the anthem, he immediately alienated at least 50% of the population. He never.
But that's the thing. That's the thing, though, Mike. Why am I? Hold on, Mike. Mike, let me ask you. Let me ask you, though, Mike. The problem is for all the people who keep telling young men that look like Colin Kaepernick to find a different way. Those different ways have not worked, my brother. What I'm trying.
Oh, don't say that. How much does he make?
So Mike,
here we go.
Mike,
how
do you
much
think?
How much does he give?
Mike, do you think?
How much has he given?
Mike, do you think the amount of money that a man makes removes him from any of the dangers and ills in this life?
On an individual basis, of course it does.
So
it does.
So Michael Bennett leaving a casino and having police officers drag him, that his check.
Anecdotal evidence. We can do that all day. We can go back and
see,
forth.
but this is the thing. You want there to be something else all day. What I'm trying to tell you is, it is a very dangerous precedent to be set by saying the amount of money removes you from any kind of humanity at all when it comes to these streets or walking around like a citizen. What am I sacrificing? I think I make more than a lot of my friends. Does that mean that I have to sacrifice some of my self-respect and some of my dignity if I'm out there and I'm approached the wrong way by a person in law enforcement? Does that mean that? Does that mean that to you, Mike?
No. Let me ask you a question. So Jim Brown is wrong?
Jim Brown? Wait.
Jim Brown.
So now you're down with Jim Brown? Were you down? Hold on.
It's the point of it. He's doing it at the workplace. He's using the anthem. Right?
But if he weren't using the anthem, you wouldn't be talking about it.
No, this is the point.
Yes, it is the point. He's making you think about it because he used the anthem.
Mike, what matters more? What matters more to you, Americans or the anthem and the flag?
I don't know how anyone could possibly answer that. Human beings.
Well, if human beings matter more to you than a song and a symbol, then you're with him.
So this is my point.
You keep saying that, and you
attempt to say that he would be better served.
No.
And
you are not one to tell him how he would be better served.
It's only an opinion piece, Dan. I'm not writing the guy. The point of all of it is too that you guys underestimate.
You've got like 50. You keep declaring this is the point. This is the point. This is the point. And yet it seems so scattershot.
Mike, we get to a dangerous place when we'd rather preserve order than have justice.
Yeah, you're working.
The legitimacy of the protest. It's about trying.
How is it illegitimate, though, brother?
So first of all, it's the way, and now it's the legitimacy. So it's not about how. You're talking about. You're saying it's about the essence of what he's trying to say.
No, it's the mechanics. I'm saying.
No, Mike. You know what? Here's the thing. We've given you a reasonable amount of time. I think.
You cut me off every time I started a sentence.
Mike, you've been on the air for 5 minutes and 25 seconds, which is 4 times as long as the average caller, and you have been given ample time.
I think we had a conversation, Mike. I think I asked you some questions and you asked me some.
You've been ample time to make a focused point.
What are you talking about? Hypocrisy? No, hold on, Dan. What do you mean? I know, but what do you mean? What do you mean hypocrisy?
Why don't you have people if you're not going to do a?
What other side, Mike? There is Mike. There should never be another side when it comes to inequality.
Exactly. What? To shut down speech exactly.
No inequality, Mike. I'm talking about equality for all people.
Mike, what are
you talking about?
Mike, what is the?
Only if they agree with you.
What is the other side?
What's the other side of equality, brother?
Hold on. Articulate. No, Mike. Articulate the other side of racial equality.
Let's see. A former president speaks out and gives people the wrong message, and then white police officers begin to be executed in their police cars and at a Dallas police station.
Oh, you talking about the Dallas shooting, Mike? The Dallas shooting? That was an Army trained shooter, if I'm not mistaken. So, do you put that on the Army?
No, what does that have to do with it?
Oh, okay.
No, does it have to do with it?
Mike.
See, Mike, the problem is
Mike, we have to be done now. You did not succeed in articulating the opposite side of racial equality, and why anybody would want to is
I don't understand
ridiculous
this.
to me.
I truly don't understand.
I don't know why there's another side to equality. What is the other side? Why do you want to argue for racial inequality? No one wants that. It's our responsibility to not want that.
Well, what we're finding out is that when people
everything's code words.
When people hear equality, they feel like their rights are being infringed upon.
But they're not. Jesse's in Hyde Park. He's on the score. Hi, Jesse.
Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to thank you guys for not just today, but in general. I listen to WFAN and other stations, in other cities as well. You're the only guys, as far as I know, who consistently put this stuff in its socio-political context. It's really important. Obviously, this has gotten a lot more attention than a lot of other stuff that's come down over the last 7 or 8 months. And I love Terry a lot. But I think since you, Jason, came on, the nature of the show has changed. It's gotten a lot more serious, and in some ways, I think it's actually pretty important. And I'd like to plaudits to Mitch for letting you guys run with it as well, if he has anything to say about it.
He's been very openly supportive, and even throughout the day yesterday, was texting about how he trusts that we can know how to handle this kind of thing.
Yeah, Terry's emailed me and texted me on numerous occasions and said that he is proud of me and he wants me to continue being myself. Terry was the person that told me a long time ago, never, ever lose my voice. Whatever that voice is, always say how you feel. That way you don't have to lie to the people. There are too many people in this business who lie to people and tell you what you want to believe and then, live other lives. I am flawed. I am a conflicted dude, but there are some things that I will never, ever back down on, and this is one of them.
This segment brought to you by the Detox and Treatment Helpline. Know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help within 24 hours. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Call 800-430-4149. 800-430-4149. Top of the hour, we're going to talk to Dan Pompei about the Bears and what we can take away from that, what mattered, what maybe didn't, and how they turn this thing around for Thursday. You've got the score.
Dan, this is from Kevin Williams on Facebook. He says, Jason didn't serve, so since I did, I'll tell you what I pledge to uphold: the Constitution of the United States. I'll be sitting during the playing of the national anthem, and if any fake patriots like you have a problem with it, put your money where your mouth is and go serve. The majority of you fake patriots wouldn't lift a finger to help some of our homeless vets to this day. Unfortunately, a lot of that is true. And you don't even have to be a vet or a member of the armed services to. That's the thing. The degrees of American that have been established or being established right now are very, very dangerous. The poor people who aren't in the Army or aren't in the Navy or aren't in the military, they're still American as well, and they don't have a voice. So people need to speak up for them. And for the people who are asking me over and over again about Chicago, what about Chicago? There's a lot of things that you can do. The Inglewood Co-op Garden right there for you. Lawrence Holmes is always at the place. There are peace walks by moms through Inglewood every Saturday. Give us your numbers, and you can come on down since you're all about racial balance and making sure Chicago is a better city. Come on through.
And the guy in Munster that was giving every buzzword and every little dog whistle talking point for you there when talking about how much money some of these guys make, they are not protesting for themselves.
No.
The protest is for people who don't have the power, don't have a voice, don't have a platform. Yeah. They are not doing it for themselves, and Colin Kaepernick gave up his livelihood. Yeah. He sacrificed his livelihood.
Similar to how Carmelo Anthony right now
makes nothing is what he makes.
Is trying to raise as much money as he can for Puerto Rico because his father is Puerto Rican. Carmelo Anthony can get food, he can get shelter, he can put on AC anytime he wants, but he knows that there is an entire island without agriculture right now and a lot of people who are hot and starving and getting ready to kill each other for that food and that money and starting to loot because that's what happens when dire circumstances hit people. And Carmelo Anthony can do whatever he wants because he has the money, but he also has a platform and an obligation to speak out for those people who don't have it.
From Queens, what's up?
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a off the field right now, out, he's fired.
Oh, my God.
Fired!
You walk. I'm sorry, you walk.
Some owner's going to do that. He's going to say, that guy that disrespects our flag, he's fired.
Stop now.
That owner, they don't know it. They don't know. They're friends of mine, many of them.
Wait a second.
That's a total disrespect of everything that we stand for, okay? Okay? They're ruining the game.
Are you going to tell me?
They're ruining the game.
What are you, nuts? Oh, my God.
That's what they want to do. They want to hit, okay? They want to hit. But it is hurting the game. But you know what's hurting the game more than that? When people like yourselves turn on television and you see those people taking the knee when they're playing our great national anthem. The only thing you can do better is if you see it, even if it's one player, leave the stadium. I guarantee things will stop. Pick up and leave.
That was the single worst.
Not the same game.
Quiet down. That was the single worst big moment call in the history of sports. Back after this.
Dan Bernstein and Jason Goff. Afternoons on The Score.
That's what we are, the Bernstein and Goff show here on 670 The Score, 670thescore.com.
People like yourselves as opposed to those people.
You know what's up.
People like yourselves.
Yes. Dan Rosen out there on the Facebook live chat says, guys, a 51-year-old veteran here who has listened to 670 AM for many years. Today is really one of your greatest shows ever. Most of us vets understand the difference between protesting the anthem and protesting injustice in America. Keep up the good work. So, Dan, we appreciate you watching us do silly things on Facebook. And Brian Gertz is hanging out in the chat, also at watch670thescore.com if you want to do that as well. We feel you. Anything you guys want to talk about? Anything that popped up this weekend? Got myself a face full of college football. Got some of the NFL stuff in me after the Bears game. I was watching the Bears game on a little bit of a delay. Because we were doing the Lupus walk / fun run in Lincoln Park. By the way, thank you so much. Didn't get a chance to say it Friday. Said it on Thursday when you were out, Dan. But thank you to you. Thank you to everybody here on the show for allowing me to use this as my platform for raising awareness and raising some funds for people who are challenged by the horrible, horrible autoimmune disease known as lupus. There were a lot of people out there. 101.9, the Mix was out there. They had their truck and their van all wrapped up and looking pretty out there. It was a lot of people. Not as many people as when I was in Atlanta, because all of Piedmont Park was full. And I don't know if that's because of the location and maybe more people of color are affected by lupus. I don't know the numbers, especially.
Oh, indeed.
So that's why the numbers were crazy there. But it was a really good showing. I got a chance to take a beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning walk along Lakeshore Drive out there in Lincoln Park. Got to see the rowers doing their thing outside of Lincoln Park Zoo. So thank you to everyone who donated. It is still pinned at the top of my page. You can donate for the next 100 days. A lot of people donated in the name of people who have passed away in their lives due to complications from the terrible disease. My sister and my lady, my fiance, Nicole, were who I was walking for and who I advocate for and who I champion in this terrible, terrible fight that daily cripples a lot of people out there, and some people don't even know why. So go get yourself checked out. Let's raise awareness. Let's raise funds for this. Thank you so much, though, for the people who donated $1, $5, $10, whatever you donated, whatever little helped. Thank you so much, because we raised a decent amount of money on a short amount of notice, and I truly appreciate you guys for that.
Brian is in Peoria. He's on the score.
Hi, Dan, guys.
Hey, Brian.
I find myself in the odd position of being more cynical than Dan.
I'm really not that cynical. I have some idealist qualities. They just don't surface all the time.
Okay.
Well, lie detector test determined that was a lie.
So what is you doing? Really, though.
Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry about that, Brian.
But anyhow, I've been watching this play out, and this has gone on for 3 days. And I'm thinking, what didn't they want us talking about that they did this? It was so bombastic. This presidency is media savvy. And
no, it's not.
Yeah, I think
no,
he's just
it's
shooting
not.
off. I think
no,
he's just
it's
shooting
not
off his
media.
mouth.
It's not even the closest thing to media
byproduct
savvy.
is not talking about immigration, not talking about health care, not talking about Puerto Rico. But I think I think Brian, he gets a dose of whatever that is when he walks up and he's aroused at that lectern.
You know what? Right, that is.
I think
that's the I'm excited to be at a white
Exactly.
supremacist rally and I'm going to just veer into something. That's what that is.
Roll damn tide.
Yep.
I'm sorry. That was a cheap shot. I apologize to all
It's
the Tide
government
fans.
in general, though, on how they steer the conversation, and that's why I'm thinking, what don't they want us talking about?
Well, here's the thing, though.
We can talk about whatever we
Let's be more specific. I do think that NFL owners, the NFL, and teams, and what we found out today, the White House wants to do is claim this isn't about race and make this somehow about larger things or about the anthem or about what it's not. I do agree that one thing that the White House will not focus on is what is actually being protested. And in that respect, you're right, because there hasn't been a desire or willingness to even try to understand or even acknowledge what the actual protest is about. Instead, making it because his solipsistic view is to make it about himself.
Ooh.
So
give me the definition of that.
Solipsism is it's like next level egotism where there is not even a belief that anything exists outside the self or one's perception of the world. That individual perception of the world is in fact the only actual world.
Okay.
There's that.
That's my armchair definition
solipsistic.
of solipsism.
I thought my boy actually caught that at Carbondale freshman year. I'm like, man, you got that solipsism. You need to go to the clinic real quick.
Rockford, Jim, you're on the score.
Hi.
Hi,
Jim.
Hi. I'm confused. Since when has kneeling been considered disrespect?
When it happens during the anthem and the song that this country loves, Jim.
People kneel to pray. If you're in a country where there's royalty and royalty walks by, you kneel. It's truly a sign of respect. And
people kneel to get blessed.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why all of a sudden is kneeling considered disrespect? I'm confused.
Because it's being done in large part by black athletes during the anthem during football games.
And military and anthem and song have been attributed to whiteness.
Right. People have conflated militarism with the American flag, where the American flag simply is a representation of the country and all its flaws, too.
You know what? The man that just walked into the Score producer studio was a man who I think was ahead of the curve on this thing a long, long time ago, and I'll never forget the time Herb Lawrence asked, Herb would drop a gem on you and just ask you something.
Wait, is it separate beds for husband and wife?
No.
Wait, what?
Or tip, he didn't. He believes that beds, that, you should sleep in separate beds because you are sacrificing a good night's sleep. You get your juicing done when you got to get your juicing done, but you're sacrificing a good night's sleep.
In some respects, I agree. That is the king size bed.
Sorry,
that's why you must. If you are married, you must have a king size bed and
a blender
and 2 sinks.
Yeah. Oh no, dude. If I don't have double sinks, I would have to. I would have to jump off the tallest building.
Yeah, 2 sinks in the master bath.
2 houses.
No. Well, get your little flop house going. Next thing you know, you're an NBA player. No, but my guy, Herb Lawrence, years ago, just came up to me and said, hey, man, well, why does the national anthem play before sporting events? And this years. Like, this is not just recently. Like, I'm talking a long time ago. I was like, Herbie, I don't know. I really don't know. And we talked about it for a little bit, and now it's at the forefront of all these conversations because you don't honor the military in any other venue or arena.
Or even the flag.
By starting with the national anthem. It's just assumed that you respect the veterans who have sacrificed their lives.
But you're already buying.
I understand.
Don't even go there yet. The flag is not a representation of the military. Yeah. It's a representation of the country. And if you're talking about, I don't know why we don't play it before movies. Just to have people sort of play it before a play.
Right. It doesn't happen.
For dinner.
Are they?
Dinner is served. You have appropriately recognized the country.
Are they less commendable then? By the way, less commendable coming up to overnights.
It's all very strange. And in the battle for the symbol, it's been conflated with militarism and military representation when it is a symbol of a nation, not of armed forces that fight for the freedoms that nation has. In Green Oaks, it's Mark on WSCR.
Hey, guys. 50 years ago, Smith and Carlos raised their fist in the 1968 Olympics, and I can't believe that we're still having this discussion at this point in time. One guy forgotten there was the number 2 placer was Peter Norman from Australia. Check up on him. But at any rate, I find that there is false patriotism thrown into all of this crapola. And if you look at the U.S. Code for Treatment of the Flag, etc., Section 8C, it says that the flag shall never be displayed horizontally. And how many football games do we see the flag draped across the field horizontally and everybody cheering and whoop, 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 whoop? So my point is people are selectively putting their patriotism behind symbols when, in fact, the most important point is what Smith and Carlos were representing way back when I got drafted in 1968.
Thanks. And I would always say don't use patriotism when you mean nationalism, because they're very, very different things. Thank you.
I'm not going to do it.
Okay, then don't. Los Angeles, Jason, you're on the score.
Man, I'm tired. I swear to God, I am tired. I want to be like what Jay said a while ago. Let's just let all these old people die.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird.
The 3 point. Look, it's hard points on it, but I have a sensory disorder. I swear to God, to hypocrisy, and I was covering my ears all weekend because it was dripping out of the TV screen from everybody. And number 45, our president, needs to be like. I swear, if he was in the NBA, he would have been Donald Sterling. The only reason he doesn't get fired is because he's got a job where they can't officially fire him. Okay. The other thing is, and this is the biggest point for me, is I listen to these people. They always want to say, everybody wants to use, well, they're disrespecting the flag and they're disrespecting the memory of my family, and I have cousins, and I have to think about them. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for them. Well, guess what? Instead of thinking about them for a moment, if you can do that, why can't you think about these people who are kneeling and asking you, pleading with you to just take a moment and think for a minute about someone other than your personal interest? If you think this is about unity and that's what this country's founded on, then you would do that. But you won't because you're a hypocrite.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate that call. Let's try champagne, and I could use some. And Chris on WSCR.
Not a fan.
Hey guys, appreciate you taking my call. My dad was a Nam vet. My dad's dad was Korean War. When my dad came back from Nam, he was spit on and that whole bit. And he talked about the flag is symbolism to him of what he was fighting for. I was in the military for 8 years as well. And I don't think that the people that have an opinion about this, the majority of them, and I'm not sure how many people there that are talking in your studio, have been in the military.
So you can't have an opinion on it?
The point is that the athletes particularly, they don't know anything about the discipline that it takes to be in the military or the sacrifice that it takes.
They're not protesting the military. Hey, Chris, listen, this is critical. This is critical. Hey, Chris, it's really important that you listen right now. They have been, and Colin Kaepernick specifically has said, they are not protesting the flag. They are not protesting the national anthem.
No, they're using the flag
it has nothing to do with the military. It has nothing to do with the military. Nothing.
Not men in the military. That's easy to say.
It's not a matter of who's served and who hasn't.
So, Chris, can I ask you this?
Being an American is not a private club. Serving in the military does not make one more American than someone who hasn't.
No, but the fact that you get to talk about it and those people get paid millions of dollars, it's the sacrifice of the military.
Wait a second. Now, hold on a second. Now, wait. Hey, Chris,
do you think there needs to be this never-ending, never-ceasing gratitude for people who have earned their way to a certain status in life financially?
Not necessarily.
But it seems like what you just said. It seems like the second thing, I won't say the first thing. The second thing you brought up was how many millions of dollars they're being paid. I mean,
that's correct.
So what? Hold on, Chris. Chris,
your family.
Chris, what dollar amount? What dollar amount is okay for?
Let me tell you something. There is no dollar amount to being seen in the stuff that my dad saw on Nam.
Chris, hold on.
Chris, you're all over the map here.
I've had uncles who served in the military. I have a cousin right now who's in Afghanistan.
But none of that matters.
But I'm going to talk to Chris for 1 second here. And Chris, my cousin right now who is in Afghanistan is fully aligned with Colin Kaepernick. Are you going to tell him that he's less American than you?
Absolutely not.
But
my personal opinion is, and this is the problem I have with it, is that people who don't disagree or that do disagree with the popular and let's make people hear what they want to hear.
But Chris, it's willful ignorance, my man. It's willful ignorance if I'm telling you something that I am doing has nothing to do with you, and you keep telling me that it does. After a while, who is it on?
I don't know, man. It's a
okay. All right. No, this is not that complicated, and this is what I'll ask.
And Chris, am I being respectful in this conversation with you?
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm trying to get across to.
Well.
That's what I'm trying to get across to you because people are angry. And people feel like it is very unfortunate that we have to talk this way in terms of getting across humanity and getting across equality. You are fighting, and you have fought, and your family members have fought for the right to do this. You can't pick and choose which rights that you sign up to fight for, my man. That's what
earlier this morning when I was listening to the show before you guys.
Well, I can't speak for anything that happened on it because I didn't listen today.
Okay, well, he said
Who is
we
he?
have a
Who?
black
Chris.
military member, and he will be the first call.
Well, Chris, you need to take that up with Danny Parkins,
I'm not sure what
or
you're mad about
Matt
there.
Spiegel. And this is the problem that I'm having right here, my man. You just said it just now. And that's why you got locked up a little bit in your statement when I asked you about, if I tell you this is not about you, my man, this is not about you. If you think it doesn't affect you, that's different. But if it's not about you and you keep making it about you, who is that on?
But you're using the flag as a tool, because you know that it's divisive.
So are you one of the people that thinks that peaceful protests aren't the way to go about things?
There's nothing wrong with.
Would you rather a violent Chris? Would you rather a violent protest?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
you don't need injury and people to get hurt.
But wait a second. This is also really important here. You understand the military does not have any more claim over the American flag, and anyone associated with the military has no greater claim than any American citizen. You understand that?
Damn well sacrifice more than some people who are enjoying.
I want to hit this point too. They're not protesting on their own behalf, regardless of. They are lucky enough, and they have stated, and Colin Kaepernick has stated this, and not only that, has been cutting checks every Tuesday, cutting six-figure checks.
He's up to $1.4 million.
He's up to 1.4. They are not protesting for themselves. They're using their position, their public position, and their standing to protest for the powerless and the voiceless, who make nothing, who have nothing, and who are being discriminated against by a system that is set up to harm them in many ways, and set up to harm them in ways it's not set up to harm others. They're not protesting for themselves. They're protesting for people who have nothing, because no one will listen to those people.
The flag was planted on Iwo Jima. It is a symbol.
But it doesn't belong to the military. The military does not have any claim to that symbolism or that fabric over any other American citizen, not one.
Chris, before we go here, because we got to run, we're up against a break. Colin Kaepernick has talked about vets and the way that they are treated in this country as well. Now, if he is kneeling for those vets, would you have a problem with that?
That's a very good question. No,
right.
I would.
Well, there
not
it
have
is.
a question.
All right.
Okay,
So
well, there it
has to affect Chris.
So if it doesn't affect you, that's when it makes you mad. I guess we learned that. Tony and Sauganash,
Blanco.
You're on the score, Tony.
Hi guys, can I make a quick prediction?
Yeah.
14 and 2. Glenn and Shaheen replace Brady and Gronk for all time.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
What I wanted to say was I grew up as unoppressed as you possibly can be. White male, North Shore, all that. Well,
So you're Parkins.
Yeah, exactly. Except I was oppressed by a certain DHS coach.
He's the new hotness.
But anyway, my point is I don't understand why people don't understand 4 words: unalienable rights to peaceably protest.
Mm-hmm.
This is all that it comes down to. It's so frustrating, and it goes all the way to the top. It disgusts me.
Well, Tony, don't be too disgusted. Just do the right things in your personal life, and everything will work out, man.
There you go.
You know?
This segment brought to you by the Detox and Treatment Helpline. Know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help within 24 hours. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Call 800-430-4149. 800-430-4149. A
lot of things happening. A lot of things for you to talk about. It is still a Bears Monday. If you want to jump in, Rich Campbell will join us at the top of the hour. We'll continue to take your phone calls at 312-644-6767. And Facebook Live is an interesting place right now, too. It's not as crazy as I thought it would be. Everybody's having a good time there. It's kind of light. There's a couple of idiots in there, but we're there for you as well. And watch 670thescore.com as well. We're talking Bears. We're talking NFL. We're talking what happened on Friday night and what led into Sunday morning right here on 670 The Score.
I don't believe in ugly wins. I just whatever it takes to win. They can't take them from you, so it's, I think there's a lot to be learned. There's a how to win, and I thought our guys did the things necessary to get us to win.
What are you saying? What are you saying, John?
I really should. They can't take it from you.
Yeah.
That's inspiring.
Our motto's win. And
Get
that
him
is
a body
whatever
bag.
is necessary today.
I don't believe I can win.
Oh, God. I can't wait. 13 more games. We'll never have to hear this dude again. This thing. It should be 2-1, though. Huh?
No,
Am I right?
No, you're not.
All
Actually, I don't agree with
It
you.
should be
there.
2-1.
Sorry.
By the way, the retraction earlier, I got a chance to see the Marcus Cooper play again from Arizona last year. So, he did do it again. And he is not a man who is mindful of past transgressions. My lady doesn't usually curse when watching football, but after she came back, into the room, because we were supposed to
She's like, where you been?
Where you been? Yeah, been done for a minute now, waiting for you. And she goes, what are you watching? What's going on? Halftime was like 10 minutes ago. I'm like, look at this. And she just audibly, what the is he doing?
Mm-hmm.
I said, he just stopped. Like, it wasn't even like he was getting ready to get into a Dion kind of trot. Like, he just started walking. How can you possibly think on an NFL football field where anyone could be cut at any time that people aren't chasing you? Well, like, people get run away from the cop speed, as some people like to call it. Like, you are being chased by men who want to kill you. Men who didn't do
the punter doesn't want to kill you.
Well, but the offensive lineman who didn't do his job well,
right.
Vance McDonald on the perimeter of that, setting that edge, he didn't do his job well enough. Everybody got that field goal blocked, right? How can you not think these dudes are on my ass?
Or you're not looking up at the video board. You can see them.
Oh, yeah.
You can see
Or all the
it.
fans sitting in the first couple rows going, no!
Hey, Lemonhead!
Run, Forrest, run!
Oh, Marcus Cooper.
Steve in Crystal Lake, you're on the score.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen.
What up?
I'd like to quickly point out two things here. For all your military fans that are calling in and talking about how this protest is disrespecting the flag, I'm a 20-year Navy veteran, and I'd like to beg to them, get the military out of your mouth. We took an oath to protect and serve the Constitution of the United States, and within there give us the right for freedom of speech. And what these gentlemen are out there doing, just as you, Dan, and Jason said, are doing this peacefully. You don't have to like what they're doing, but they're doing their rights. It's their right to do this, so don't knock them on it, and they're doing it the way they did it. Now, when I first saw Kaepernick do this, I'm not a Kaepernick fan, so I was like, what is he going to do? He's brilliant. He's created a great talking point. You got everybody in the nation now talking about what's going on in baseball and football, and everybody's paying attention. You're bringing this to light. So bring the military out of your mouth, pay attention what's actually going on, and if you want to talk, ask somebody, hey, what can we do to make this better?
Steve, what's the most interesting place the Navy took you in your 20 years of service? Turkey. All right. Where? I mean, anywhere in particular, or you were just running around the entire country with your pants off?
Antalya, Turkey.
Okay.
it was completely mind-boggling and eye-opening.
All right.
Now, the second point I'd like to make for you, gentlemen, if you don't mind, is people getting upset with what Donald Trump said. Now, on the same flip side of this is if you got to give him his right. He may not be right, but he has a right to say the things that he wants to say. And we should be fortunate, though, that he's saying what he's thinking and not doing the opposite of say one thing and do another.
Yeah, but I don't feel very fortunate right now.
I don't think anybody denies. I think anybody denies the president can say whatever he wants. I mean,
he's entitled to his opinion.
Yeah, Steve, I got you.
He can say it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
As a lady with a pre-existing condition and a baby who might have one, I don't feel very fortunate sitting here listening to this man talk right now.
There was an aspect of that, though, and everybody who listens to this show and knows what I think about the trends in NFL football, there was an aspect where he and I see similarly.
Oh, about the hard hitting and pretending like
okay, about the softening of the game.
Well, that's the thing. How are you gonna act like you care about the NFL and then say screw the NFL players? I want them all to die. Their brains should be mushed. The NFL is not a game you should watch anymore.
Maybe he's thought about it as deeply and as extensively as I have, where he had to find a very difficult position to reach, where as long as there's informed consent, you're okay watching other people's kids destroy themselves for your amusement.
Today, if you hit too hard, right? They hit too hard, 15 yards, throw him out of the game. They had that last week. I watched for a couple of minutes, and two guys.
Full game.
Really beautiful tackle. Boom, 15 yards. The referee gets on television. His wife is sitting at home. She's so proud of him. They're ruining the game. Right?
What is going on?
That's the president of the United States.
Yeah. What is going on? I remember when a guy filled out a tournament bracket, we were like, yo, get back to work, Black. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
Steve is in Kenosha. He's on the score. Hi, Steve.
Hey, guys. I'm obviously one of the people that are upset with the protests. And
we don't. Why is that obvious?
You should know, Steve.
Well, the thing is, what I saw yesterday, McCoy really bothered me.
He's an idiot.
Agreed.
Like
he's an idiot.
But Steve, a lot of people who agree with you were championing Shady McCoy last week when he said Colin Kaepernick should be in the NFL, though.
Oh, that may be the case, but I traded him off my fantasy team. But anyway,
there it is. The important things.
Listen, the whole thing with these protests, I still, a lot of people don't even know what the message is. What is the protest about?
Again, we're not going to play Google for you here, Steve. If you really, if it wasn't just a rhetorical question.
Is this about police
listen, Steve, if you listen, that's part of it. Mm-hmm. But if you really wanted to find that out, all you have to do is look it up. And you can read in Colin Kaepernick's own words and what he said about where his charitable donations since then have gone. You don't need us to tell you that. And if it were true, you don't care. And if it were true that you did care, you would have found that out instead of calling us and asking the question rhetorically.
Well, I've asked other people. But
do you have a phone in your hand?
Yeah.
Okay. Use it.
All right, I'm gonna grab me something. I'm gonna look at it. But the thing is, Kaepernick, I think his play went down. He got involved with this girl. She's a Black Lives Matter activist.
There it is.
And,
he got involved with this girl. Yep. This was his girlfriend before the protest.
You don't think
it was his girlfriend before the protest?
Hey, Steve, why does Black Lives Matter bother you? Why does that saying bother you?
They said, look, my dad was a cop 30 years ago.
My uncle's a cop right now.
And your uncle's a cop right now. Mm-hmm. And, when you say things like kill cops, fry them like bacon, and
who said that, Steve?
There was a Black Lives Matter activist group that was marching and chanting that.
So, Steve, can I ask you this? Can I ask you this? Can I make you answer for every white person in Charlottesville?
Is that what?
Can I make you then answer for every white person in Charlottesville?
I could talk about Charlottesville.
No, I'm saying, can I make you answer for them? You are saying that there was a group that you heard. Hold on, you said there's a group that you heard chanting some things. So now that means that the entirety of the movement is championing those things as well. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not fair to do that.
But I've heard the leaders of BLM.
There are no leaders. That's the thing. There are no leaders of Black Lives Matter.
Well, the ones that visited the White House, and I've seen on talk shows at night, on political talk shows.
That chant about killing cops.
I forgot.
That chant about killing cops.
Yeah, I think we're done here.
Steve.
I wanted to talk about something else.
Well, you don't have time. Adam in Chicago Heights, you're on the score.
Afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, Adam.
If nothing else with these protests, I think if nothing else, the stick to sports crowd can finally go away.
They're not going to.
No, they're not. They're around.
If nothing else, the whole 2009 DOD contract needs to be injected into every time someone says stick to sports, because the government made sure with that military contract that it wasn't just sticking to sports 8 years ago.
Yeah, DOD paid $53 million of taxpayers' money to pro sports for military tributes, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know what Adam is referring to.
Adam, how about this? And I don't play Madden, but apparently there is an aspect in the My Career version of the new Madden game where, as part of your career development, you must go and go to an Army base and play games with Dan Marino on an Army base. So for those who protest, keep politics out of football. You got to be just as mad about that.
Nah.
I'm sure that's just a coincidence, in the same way the salute to service and the fake soldier reunions were just all out of the goodness of teams' hearts.
Of course.
I'm sure that's all a coincidence.
Of course.
And this whole ridiculous statement of you have to keep, well, this isn't a race issue. you have to keep race out of it. I'm sorry, this is coming from a president who said America is not great again, inherently by his slogan. You have Colin Kaepernick et al., who said, yes, we agree. Here's why we don't think America is great again.
Right.
Whoa, hold on. No, you can't have that. That's not the reasons we talked about.
Or not the place to mention it, right?
Like we all have.
Thanks.
We
Appreciate the call.
Nobody's family is perfect, but it's akin to saying, hey, my family isn't perfect. I love my family, but I like my family to be better in these ways.
The difference between patriotism and nationalism, where people use one when they really mean the other. And all patriotism is loving your country despite knowing it's flawed.
Yeah, but,
and nationalism
only
is
certain people can say that.
But nationalism is believing that your country can do no wrong. Uber alles, there's a difference, and there's patriotism is complicated, and there's a lot of different ways to love one's country, and the way that some of these guys are showing their love for their country is understanding that they have the freedom to speak out and try to improve lives where there's inequality.
I know for a fact that I'm no son of a and I plan on continuing forward and doing whatever I can from my position to promote the equality that's needed in this country.
It's a young man, rookie out of Notre Dame, Deshaun Kaiser. He's not a son of a bitch. A lot of these guys had to stand up yesterday and say that, hey, I'm no son of a bitch.
I know for a fact that I'm no son of a bitch.
Or if you're Terrell Suggs, you stand up and you say, we're all son of a bitches.
Yeah, man.
Take it a little different direction.
Do we have the Dolphins safety who he was approached at his locker room? Is it Michael Thomas? Michael Thomas, who was a captain and has been for the last 3 years.
Nice work with the music
on the Dolphins team, and he was just being asked about this, and he started to talk about his daughter, and it got kind of real for him.
I'm going to tell you my first thoughts, but it just amazes me with everything else that's going on in this world, especially involving the U.S. That's what you're concerned about, my man. You the leader of the free world. This what you talking about. So it as a man, as a father, as an African American man, as somebody in the NFL, as one of those sons of bitches, I took it personally, but at the same time, like I said in my Twitter post, it's bigger than me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's bigger than me. I got a daughter. She's going to have to live in this world. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make sure, she can look at her dad and be like, hey, you did something, you tried to make a change. You feel me?
Yeah, it's Michael Thomas. So for all the things that you think of these athletes and all their millions and all those things, I mean, they're human too. And when you get called out, when you actually say, hey, this is what's troubling people who look like me, and then you're scorned for it because of a symbol that is not even being represented in the protests. It's not even about the flag or the anthem. I can't get that through to people enough. Like, you're picking this if you want to be mad about it.
This is LeBron James today. We know this is the greatest country in the world. It's the land of the free, but we still have problems just like everybody else. And when we have those problems, we have to figure out a way how we come together and be as great as we can be as a people, because the people run this country, not one individual, and damn sure not him. That's LeBron James.
The GOAT. Meanwhile, your man, made the other dude a billionaire, and I've been part of it, making the other dude a billionaire. And he couldn't wait to step away and step aside from situations like this. Anytime anybody wants to do the whole as in totality, not just basketball. Anytime anybody wants to have the LeBron James, Michael Jordan conversation, I'm ready for that too.
And Michael even weighed in on this. How about that?
Yeah,
this rose to the level of Michael Jordan actually saying something.
Yeah, that's it has a Ray Lewis feel to it.
Chris in Buffalo Grove, you're on the score.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, Chris.
First of all, I'm deeply saddened about what's going on with. I don't even want to call him our president anymore. That was just ridiculous and unbelievably bad. And
but it was believably bad, though. Yeah. That's the thing. This guy has not hidden the fact that he's been a white supremacist all his life, from the Central Park Five to all the times he's been sued over leasing practices to the entire birther movement. This cannot be a surprise.
I 100% agree, and it saddens me to even say this, and I'm disgusted to even say this, but I voted for that SOB, and I want to apologize to everyone.
You ain't have to apologize, man. You did your civic duty of voting.
You voted,
and you voted for the person that you thought would best affect your life and
all of us
and fit your ideals.
All of us have been disappointed in officials we've helped elect. All of
but
us.
But what I'm trying to say is, as much as I don't agree with the NFL players, kneeling for the protest and all that stuff, I would rather see a peaceful protest of them kneeling because, I appreciate the flag because I've had family and friends in the military. So I appreciate them, being in the military. And that's why I stand up for that. I can agree with them kneeling, but I would rather see that rather than seeing these hateful protests that are burning down businesses and buildings.
Sure, but one thing we have to do, though, we have to uncouple flag from military. The flag is the flag represents Americans and America. It does not. It's not a military symbol. I agree. That's been co-opted. The symbolism has been taken over by one side, claiming, "Oh, you're disrespecting the military," when the people actually protesting have specifically said, "No, we're not."
I agree. The reason why I stand up for the flag, I stand up because I live in this country. I love this country. I respect this country, but I also respect the people, the military, but kept us safe.
Yeah, okay, but it's not. Again,
Chris,
you can't couple it with the military.
But Chris, can I say the same thing, or can one of these football players say the same thing? That I kneel because I live in this country. I kneel because I love this country. I kneel because I want this country to get better.
Not only that, I kneel because to exercise the freedom that people have been fighting for.
I 100% agree. I think our country has given the people the right to do that stuff, and I'm 100% for it. Like I said before, I would rather them seeing kneeling peaceful than when I'm listening to on the news and watching on the news, people burning down buildings and protesting and people burning down businesses and all that stuff. I would rather have people do this and get a point across because our leader of the free world can't get any point across. That's all I'm trying to say is that, yes, as much as I don't like it, on a personal note, I can respect them for at least doing it peacefully and trying to get a point across.
Fair enough. I think that's well said. Thank you. I get it.
I don't though. I don't. Like I said in transition, after a while, we're not even talking to the people who are on one side of the spectrum or the other. Like the people who are like, the people who are so like. First of all, there's a lot of opportunists. Let's keep it funky. There's a lot of opportunists involved in on both sides of this. There are people who are out there who see this and who are glomming on now, and there are people who are out there and who see this and say, you know what, I'm going to go to the other side of this because I know this will get me clicks. This will maintain my employment here at Fox Sports 1, or this will maintain my employment at this 4-letter network. And I need to be this guy so that when we have to embrace debate, they know that when I'm sitting in this chair, I take on all these values and these thoughts. I don't think humans operate like that. I don't think humans can be so designed to believe everything about one side and everything about the other side. I wasn't raised like that. I'm just talking about the silence being betrayal in the long run. I thought it before we even got to this point where you had guys putting their hands on guys' shoulders. What is that? What is that? If I'm asked to stand, and in this case, kneel, with my man, and I love him, and to hell with everybody else, because this is the person that I have to be around all the time. This is the person who tells me their deepest, darkest secrets and fears and tells me the things that happened to them on the way to the training facility, what happened to them at the nightclub, or what happened to them at the restaurant. This is my man, 50 grand. I'm down there with him. And if I'm not, then I'm co-signing the other people. It's very simple.
It was
very simple.
Make a choice Sunday is what it was.
Very
a lot of
simple
NFL teams tried to find a way to not make a choice.
And I know some of my friends may feel a way about that. That's cool. You know who I am. It's very simple. Like, we are at a point now where, we have to stop making people who think ridiculous things feel okay for them to come off of those ridiculous things. It's like, hey, listen, he won't stop being this way if you don't coddle him out of that. Nah, screw that. Screw that, man. How long does this have to? And James Baldwin said it best: "Give me liberty or give me death" can be said by anybody else in this country, but the moment it gets said by somebody who is of a minority status or a person of color, then there's issues. Then it's like, oh, wait a minute now. You said the D word. There might be some fisticuffs involved in this. No, man.
That's like the other quote, that for the privileged, equality can seem a lot like oppression.
Yes.
I'm loath to do this after watching the 60 Minutes report last night, but this is a call from Grand Rapids, and it's Vince on the score.
I saw that too. I'm not sure what 60 Minutes has to do with Grand Rapids, but okay.
Okay, did you see Oprah Winfrey's report last night with the focus group that was in West Michigan?
I did not.
Okay, you should. It's
Oprah Winfrey has found a way to lose weight a lot. I never.
Michael in Woodstock, you're on the score. Hi, Michael.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm a first-time caller, and I'm a retired mailman. I was coming home from doing some grocery shopping, and I was listening to this guy Mike rant and rave on, and it just got me disgusted. I had to give you guys a call, and well, would you mind if I just give you like about 60 seconds of my opinion?
Go ahead.
I believe it was a peaceful protest. It wasn't disruptive. It wasn't destructive. It wasn't even disrespectful. I think what he was trying to do was, just by using the anthem, is to reach the most amount of people he could to get his message out.
Well, he sat for 3 games before anybody noticed.
I'm sorry, one more time?
You talking about Colin Kaepernick, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, he sat for 3 preseason games on the bench, and I believe it was the third one against the Chargers, where people noticed that he was doing it. So he hadn't even talked to anybody for weeks about it. He was just doing it on his own.
Right, and I really see nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's exactly the statement that many have made, and now corporations that sponsor the NFL are making the same statement. Did you read the words of Steve Kerr?
Yes.
You talk about a
Greg Popovich,
statesman.
I guess, went off today at Media Day as well. I'm so glad the NBA is
How
back.
about Stan Van Gundy?
The NBA is back this week.
How about Stan Van Gundy? He typed up his own statement. He didn't go through the PR department. He didn't have it lawyered. He walked out with a folded piece of paper that he printed up himself.
This is what I got for y'all.
And handed it right out.
Yeah.